Yo, what's going on, guys? What? Sorry, I took a little bit to get ready. Trying to look for a good YouTube video to put on. I found this fun. This is what we will be watching. Let me pull up chat real quick. There it is. Huzzah! I got a video coming out after this stream, so look forward to that. But what's going on, guys? We are going to be you'll never guess what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be playing some HeartGold. Yeah. Let me go ahead and do a team recap while we're here. Alrighty. So we got Titan the Floatzel with Rivalry, Sonic Boom Pursuit, Water Gun, and Quick Attack. We got Metalhead the Magneton with Vital Spirit, Thunderwave, Sonic Boom, Thundershock, and Extra Sensory. We got Graham the, I'm blanking this Pokemon's name, Bronzong with No Guard, Tackle, Extra Sensory, Hypnosis, and Confuse Ray. We got Thumb the Hitmonlee with Magma Armor, Shadow Sneak, Brick Break, Meditate, and Jump Kick. We got our starter home team, the Gardevoir, with Levitate, Heatwave, Confusion, Double Team, and Wish. But last but not least, and our newest member of the team, Kenya the Shaman, which is the free Kenya that you get, with Rockhead, Growth, Magical Leaf, and Leech Seed. So that is our current team. We're going to be rocking it. I'm going to have to pull up the level caps because I believe the next level cap is level 25, and it's for Whitney. So yeah, just gonna shove that like in the corner somewhere over here. There we go. All right.
September 1994, Nintendo of Japan. Development of Super Mario
Making sure
64 begins.
Video's not too
From the
loud.
very beginning, a major design
Good team. Then welcome in, William Francis. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it so far. But yeah, the next level cap is level 25. So
Mario's most basic and iconic
yeah.
ability, his jump. So that's what they did, and they did it right. In 1996,
So I gotta figure out what I want to do first.
Success. At the core of
We are gonna get the free Eevee today. I'm gonna try to see if I can get to Jasmine in this stream, but I really have no idea. I really don't know. So whatever. But yeah, team's feeling pretty solid. I think we have to go in here to get the spray bottle.
What if we didn't use any of them?
And the base keeps running. We're gonna skip the trainers just cause we'll just come back for them if we need to grind experience. But for now, let's go get a static Sudowoodo encounter.
Early 2000s internet was a magical place.
Oh, we do have to fight you though. Well, not have to, I guess, but will.
But every now and then, you find an artifact of a simpler time preserved in amber, seemingly for generations to come.
Ooh, good damage.
One of these is Walton Dell's website, where all sorts of Nintendo 64
hey, we level up, let's go.
Reported by Walton Dell
Ursula,
or submitted
go Sonic Boom, I guess.
Somewhere
Yeah, we're getting to the point where Sonic Boom is no longer a good move.
Somewhere downright stupid.
Unfortunately.
Like imagining a face in the ground texture
Just gonna spam
or
recover.
telling you to track down all 12 Viking bombs. Until October 16th, 2000, when an anonymous visitor sent this long email,
there we go.
blissfully
Get out of here.
unaware of the consequences that would unfold over the next 2 decades.
Yeah, we gotta switch up for that one.
Others, there was something he called the A button challenge. Try to get every star in Bubble Battle.
Easy fight.
A as little as
A
possible.
little annoying, but it was an easy fight.
The email was pretty clear.
All right, Bronzong is our go-to like catcher since he got no guard hypnosis. It's kind of insane. Kind of broken. All right, static encounter, please be good.
Impossible if you counted cannon shots, and so he decided
Please?
not to count them. In which case, the start became trivial in
It's not
several
great.
presses. But in the email, the strategy
That
for
is
it was
not
actually
great.
explained in detail. Simply run to this bridge and fall off.
Oh, I got a crit. Well, didn't matter. It's fine. I really did not want a Marowak.
This cannon to shoot up, and while flying, ground pound the star box, breaking it and getting the star in a single A press to shoot the cannon. Interestingly, the email mentions a guy named Miles, and the star is listed on Waltondale's website as Alex's challenge. But who was that mysterious visitor? Well, it turns out.
Alright, let's put Magneton up front since he's the lowest level.
Prolific Nintendo 64 players of the time.
We're gonna get talking to this guy. We get Rock Smash, which we're gonna need.
Back in the game's first decade, and is still active today in the Mario Kart community. In 1999, a part of the community was using IRC to discuss shortcuts and strategies. Although Mario Kart 64 was the primary focus,
this is a new route? Yeah, this is a new route. Okay, so we can get an encounter here. Let's put Bronze Egg back in front. And I forgot this was a new area. Alright, encounter is a Kingler. I actually like Kingler. I'm happy with that. I'll take it.
Capless and cannonless, and of course, the A button challenge. Alex's email was surprisingly detailed for what actually ended up on Waltondale's website. Many more A-button challenges were submitted with
got a bunch of Pokeballs, so
that were way ahead of their time.
I mean, not a whole lot, but I think we can get Great Balls in the next town. I'm not sure though.
To be possible in 0 A presses. This coin is particularly tricky, and the strategy to get it, found by Jason Walls, was surprisingly
Here we go.
clever.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
First, touch the chairlift at the bottom to make it go up. Then, quickly run to the warp to take it up, and drop down to the coin.
We're gonna name it
in time to dive and land on the chairlift.
Royal C. I think that's a pretty good name, actually. I'm not gonna lie.
To reach this spin drift, then use A to jump.
They'll be calling me Royal C.
When spinning in the air, Mario will twirl faster and fall slowly.
Actually, I don't want 2 psychic types. I know what's his face is psychic type, but it's better not to risk it.
It's unclear if it was before or after, but the A-button challenge was also submitted by a visitor named Nathan for the red coin star in Snowman's Land. Here, Dal said that it was easy once you got to the Koopa shell, but he couldn't find a way to reach the shell in the first place, so he labeled.
Oh right, I forgot Kenya gets boosted experience, so we gotta watch out for that a little bit.
The strategy to reach the star twirl from the freezing pond with 0 A presses, so it's very likely that Nathan had done the same thing for the red coin star. For reasons known only to himself, Waltondale never released any more of the numerous A-button challenges that Penev included in his email. For a whole year, this disappointment was the
Swine and Bonsly, alright.
A-button challenge available on the internet.
I don't want Magneton to be subjected to ground type moves. We're gonna switch out to Thumb here. And then you can just Magic Leaf the Bonsly should one-shot.
Also known as Human Tree.
Nice.
He had a list of his own best scores for most stars in the first levels of the game. For some of them,
Machoke should be fine. I'm gonna break on you and then guess Magical Leaf you. I mean,
but since the very beginning,
something
had been lacking. The A-button
Can you level up? Let's
been
go.
Considered on an individual star basis. Even the 100
Okay,
point
Silcoon,
stars independently from other stars.
Shadow Sneak you and then
He was the first to break those
I guess
records
Magical Leaf you
and
just in
came
case
up
it
with this
misses.
idea.
Alright.
How many stars can you collect from a fresh file without touching the A-button once? He gave it his best.
Alright,
using
easy
all the
fight.
strategies
Not bad, not
known
bad.
at the time. The final result was 10 stars. Unfortunately, Bowser in the Dark World.
Let's go see what Kingler's ability is real quick, because why not?
He was locked out of most of the castle. Also, Big Boo's
Right,
Hound
we
is
can talk to
only
Bill
available
here,
for
and
all
that's
stars.
good because we can go back and get the free gift Eevee.
So, being limited
No
to
reason
4
not to.
levels, he collected Big Bubba
Get
on
it?
the summit,
Shut up.
foot race with
I'm
him
sorry.
with a quick, shoot into the Wild Blue, every star in Cool Cool Mountain except for Wall Kicks will work, and the Princess's Secret Slide in under 21 seconds. Of course, no video of this feat remains.
Alright, Kingler, have Pure Power or Speed
Eventually
Boost.
went offline, and no archive of it can be found. That piece of history is on the
Kingler has Honey Gather.
only
Ugh.
existing in the
Naive.
memory
What
made
kind of
the
nature is that?
And then
Up in speed, down special defense. Alright, honestly, that's not bad.
figuring out about 30
Kingler is
stars
a
and
solid
10 stars to
backup,
presses for the first
uh,
file, nobody extended the
water
challenge
type,
to the
though.
whole game. Nobody asked
Oh,
the
I'll
crucial
take it.
question, how many A presses
Oh, hold on,
did
I
it
need
take
to
beat
deposit a
Super Mario
Pokemon.
64? For years, that question lay dormant.
Go ahead and deposit Gardevoir, doesn't
In the
really matter.
meantime, though, more resources
But I need to
for the
deposit a
game started to
Pokemon
pop up. In November
because,
2003,
so I'll have
another
a
regular
party in my
BanPls
room to get
user,
the
a
free
high school
Eevee.
student
Well,
by the name of
Eevee.
Curtis Bright,
You still
made a
encounter shinies in this
website
hardcore Nuzlocke? Yes, yes I can. And if I encounter a wild shiny, I am allowed to catch
The
it.
site had a
As long as I don't
comprehensive
fail
list
it,
of every
obviously,
coin,
but,
one-up, warp,
I
and
mean-
other secret in the game. It also had the world records for time challenges with videos, which at the time was unheard of. Holding most of these world records were a couple of guys. Their names? Miles Buckrim and Alex Penev. One day in 2003, Penev sent Bright a message over AIM with the extension of the original Cool Cool Mountain A-button challenge to include the whole stage in a single A press. This piqued Bright's interest enough that he tried the same thing for Baba Battlefield, Wong's
Baba Booey.
Fortress, Jolly Roger Bay, Big Boo's Hound, Little Lava Land,
Oh,
and
no, I've got-
Altal Mountain as well. The result was 45 different
Hope you
stars
encounter
and
shiny during this
38
adventure.
presses.
I hope so. That'd be
He
nice.
eventually created a page on his website for
I'd
the
appreciate
A-button
it, but, you
challenge
know,
that
I mean-
posted his scores at some point in late 2005. But he was alone. For years, the A button challenge was all but dead until this fateful day, July 13th, 2007. On the GameFAQs forums, a user by the name of Kirby Muncher created a new thread for the A button challenge. Curtis Bright was one of the first to participate in this thread, and he mentioned that another player from Brazil had set up a records page of his own and that he had done even more stars. His name was Thiago Trujillo. It turns out that Thiago had done a lot more stars. In fact,
give me a Mewtwo.
To the GameFAQs thread, he'd already done 112 stars
and
144 A presses. By this time,
Monferno. Alright, cool. We're gonna name it Belt.
Stars in fewer A presses than ever before using save states for the
IYKYK.
Bright noted that he should make a world record list separating real-time scores from tool-assisted ones.
Alrighty.
One of those tasks
is the OT different? No, okay, it's not. Motor drive. Alright, cool. Alright. Fire fighting tape, honestly, not bad.
Videos of them still available 14 years later. In fact, he posted over 100 of them. At this time, the few stars that were still missing were mostly in TikTok Clock and Rainbow Ride, as well as Bowser in the Sky and the Dire Ducks 100 coin star because they were deemed too daunting and couldn't be done in fewer than at least 10 A presses. In the meantime, Curtis Bright had followed through.
Okay, bye. Have fun. Enjoy this.
With a leaderboard.
Yeah.
Tool-assisted runs where people could
submit
their own scores with videos.
My freaking stream.
Okay,
so Monferno's pretty good. I'll have it as a backup in case Hitmonlee ever dies.
It's a shame none of those guys ever did anything else of significance.
Or if we get to a point where I can evolve Chimchar and Infernape's just better than Hitmonlee, better type, and like diversity and all that crap.
All 120 stars were collected with a grand total of 217 A presses. But there are two major caveats to this count. First, the good news: every star was counted in isolation. And now the bad news.
Anyway, we can get Gardevoir back.
Counted in isolation.
Since it's a Monferno and not an Infernape, I don't know what its ability is going to be, so it's like...
Together with another star in the same stage, they can combine for fewer A presses than when collected separately. We can reasonably estimate that about 12 to 15 redundant...
Or like Daddy, because that's what it is now. That's not funny.
However, at the time, a full 120 star count wasn't being considered, and with incomplete data to analyze, it's impossible to get a clear...
Alright, gonna deposit Monferno.
So,
and we're gonna get our Gardevoir back.
A-presses in for the time being. But this number doesn't account for the A-presses.
Yo, John Time, what's going on, dude? It's been like 50 years. What's going on, bruh? I'm so sorry. Alright, we got a new encounter here in this city. We can use the old rod. I'm not sure if there's a place to get the gold rod. But...
I'll require 2. And finally, Tiny Huge Island in TikTok.
The gold rod. Oh my god, I cannot believe I just said that.
For a total of 23 additional.
Alright, please be good.
Which brings the earliest full count to 240.
Oh no, that's Stoops Claws. I already have a Ninetales. Doing good. How about you? I am doing pretty good, honestly. Yeah, doing pretty great. I think that might be literally the only encounter I could get here.
His video went largely unnoticed, like this improvement on the.
It's not. We are so getting this Kabutops, bruh. You're so getting this Kabutops. I don't give a crap, man.
And every single star finally having an A-press count. The A-button challenge entered its golden age.
Kabutops. I love Kabutops. I just hope it's not a pain to catch.
Mario 64 with all 120 stars had officially begun. Immediately, the progress that was made was nothing short of incredible.
Come on, Kabutops, I love you. Or use Confuse Ray, I guess.
Curtis Bright's page never really caught on.
Virtual video streaming, yes I am.
30 different people
peak laziness.
Years, but no one actually improved any scores on there. The GameFAQs thread died out after a few months and 300 posts. Instead of lowering the count,
I want this Kabutops to get itself with the red. Alright, there we go.
It took 3 years for any improvement to come. But when it did, it came from an unexpected source, and it was
nice. I love Kabutops. Let's freaking go, man. I'm naming it Power. Welcome to my house. I'm so sorry. It's fine. This Kabutops is gonna have pure power, and we're just gonna destroy everyone, bro.
20 stars.
Kabutops has. Ooh, Adamant Nature. That's actually pretty good. And Reckless, powers of recoil moves. I don't really care about that, but Adamant Nature is amazing for a Kabutops. Ooh, man, I might replace Floatzel on the team, honestly. Do I have a rock type? I don't think so.
78,000 views in only 6 days.
No, I don't have a rock type. Honestly, I might replace Weasel.
Known about the development of the task
Or
since
Fossil,
no
I
one
mean,
could
because
find
let me
sources
some
that
Kabutops.
they
Let's
don't
do it.
remember much about it. But it did inspire another Japanese tasser to find an improvement.
In my opinion, it's just better
Under the sunken ship only 2
than
years later, which allowed both
Fossil,
that
so
star and the next to be
go to the
collected
team.
from a fresh file,
Yes.
for 22. And yet again, that was it. The challenge was largely forgotten for nearly 2
Okay, let's hear real quick.
years. But this dead period turned out to be very special. It would be the last one.
So we got the rival fight, but I got a few more things to do before I do the rival fight. Well, not
Remember this
necessarily, but kinda.
from 5 years
okay, we need to have you out again because we have yet another encounter. But before we do that, let me get some Pokeballs, and then there's an item over to the right, and so I might as well just go see what that is real quick. Yes, we have Great Balls. Okay, it's by like like 15. Alright. Excuse me. Let's see if we have anything to sell. Sell the Destiny Dot. I don't see myself anything.
Here's every A-press.
How much is the plates worth? 1,000. That's pretty tempting. That's pretty tempting.
208 of them. Some stages like
All right, let's sell some TMs we don't need. Get a bunch of money.
The later stages, especially the very vertical TikTok clock, are a total nightmare. A revolution is about to happen. In just 2 years from now, nearly all of these.
Should I sell arm? No, I'll sell quick attack. But should I sell arm thrust? Yeah, I'm not gonna really using it. I don't think.
2012.
Let's see if Kabutops gets takedown.
About the game, he started making his own mark in 2010 by posting videos of getting all the coins available in every stage. But for some of them, he posted the maximum
That's fine.
score.
I'm gonna look up real quick where the move deleter is.
He pulled that off using a complex technique that even he didn't fully understand.
I don't remember. I think it's in it's in Blackthorn, the city with Karen, or not Karen, Claire. So I'm gonna have to be careful about what HMs I teach
like we've seen before.
until after all the Team Rocket stuff anyway, or up until the Team Rocket stuff.
So he moved on into a new direction.
Alright, alright. We've got some Great Balls. Okay, let's see what the secondary shop has. PeePls? Ooh, PeePls. That's really nice, actually. I like that. I like that. I'll try to keep that in mind. Anywho. So see what this item over here is. Hopefully a Master Ball or Lucky Egg. Sunspore. Oh, I forgot it's a TM. That's not bad. It's not great. It's not bad. So I believe this is the Dark Cave.
Absolutely groundbreaking.
I think.
While everyone else had been playing checkers,
I'm not certain. I think it is though.
This was the first stroke.
That's Mount Mortar. Okay, so we can get an encounter here.
It would later earn him his own Wikipedia page.
It is a Aerodactyl. All right. 2 Kanto fossils in a row is kind of crazy, but
it's only natural that PanenKoek's first major technical breakthrough came through the use of a glitch that
we're gonna have to Great Ball this because
maximum coin scores.
Fossil and those are usually annoying to catch.
How this magic trick works, we need to understand the cloning glitch and its underlying game.
Boom! Not bad at all. Not bad. We're naming it Plane. We're naming it Plane. Plane, Bobane, Banana, Fana, Fofane. I'm so sorry, guys.
This is going to be very long, but I do not recommend skipping any of it. Cloning is to this day possibly the single most capital technique of this challenge, and skipping it.
Next encounter we want to get is to the west.
So
I know my cardinal directions.
And let's get started.
With this trainer. All right, counter here is.
I need to point out that PanenKoek has already covered this subject in scrupulous detail before. In fact, pretty much all the information on game mechanics that I will ever tell you comes directly from his past work. Look out in the bottom right corner of your screen for numbered notes pointing to additional information or clarifications. You can find a list of all the notes in the video description, as well as a glossary.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. No, it's just great. I like this Pokemon.
You need a refresher on a given topic. Cloning is
you got my favorite starter Pokemon, and it has True on it because of course it does. I mean, it'll evolve, so its ability to change, but.
Actually a visual copy of the object he's holding.
I freaking hate Cyndaquil. I don't hate Cyndaquil. I hate freaking Typhlosion, man.
We'll call these the original object and the held object.
Yeah, true on. Aerodactyl has anticipation. What does that do again?
It simply cannot be interacted.
Since this is the most dangerous move, right? Okay, just tell us what the most dangerous move is, or something like that. Just something like that. Anyway, all right.
Meanwhile,
We do have one more encounter, but we have to fight the rival to get it, I'm pretty sure.
3 different sources. Its position is tracked independently, its rotation is copied over from Mario's rotation, and its animation is copied from the original object. What happens with the original object's position depends on what type of object it is. Some stay in place, and some follow Mario around at or near his position.
Now, I believe that we have... I don't remember if we have to fight the rival immediately. I don't think so, but just in case, let's go ahead and send out, Kabutops. But train it a little bit.
It's not capable of generating smoke particles.
Okay, no, we don't have to fight him immediately, so we can go ahead and put bronze up front.
So that the smoke
See what our counter is.
All
Alright, counter from out. Whatever the frick this called is.
Bob bombs are an exception in that
Okay.
they stay tangible when held, and that is the root cause of the bloated bob bomb glitch. For a few frames before it explodes, a bob bomb dramatically increases in size. If Mario grabs it at the right moment, he can hold it in its bloated state.
Alright, whatever.
Mario is then pushed back by the collision with the invisible bloated bob bomb, and it will keep following him around so long as he's holding it. But what happens if Mario grabs the bob bomb while it's
We're
exploding?
naming it Belieber.
Well, this is where it gets.
Well, you know if a foe has a super effective move, but it won't tell you what. Oh wait, really? I could have swore it told you what the most dangerous move was. That's how it works in Platinum anyway. So I figured it would work the same in this game.
Then Mario's state needs to
I don't know, man.
holding
I don't know why I
an object,
left.
and the object
I'm not really
itself
interested in using my
changes
barrel. It
the
has
state
pure
held,
power,
which
so.
turns it invisible and intangible. Again, most of the time. For this whole
Anywho,
process to function properly, Mario and the original
fight the
object
rival.
need to be linked somehow. Otherwise, Mario could never retrieve an object in limbo. To achieve this, the game uses a very simple system. Every object that is loaded is assigned the first.
you missed. You suck, Shieldon.
240 object slots. While in reality, object slots have addresses that look a bit like this. For simplicity's sake, let's instead give them a number which ranges from 1 to 240.
Fight me, Silva.
The object
AKA
itself is
Pooper, 'cause that's what I named it.
Mario is given a reference.
Shelly Cooper's the smelly pooper.
That reference is the held object, or that visual copy of the original object.
Blastoids! Alright, let's go out to let's go out to Kenya actually.
So long as the object is
Kenya, Savannah, dida la
When
vi
Mario
dida ba.
releases the held object by throwing or dropping it, the game looks at the reference number and it brings back the associated original object from limbo. But remember, the original object's position in limbo doesn't
Our
reflect
level up
the
nice.
position of the held object.
And a level up
Mario is
nice.
carrying it around.
That's a Char. What? He has a Charizard and a Blastoise? What? Excuse me?
That position
That's kind of weird.
XYZ coordinates conveniently called
All right.
the held object's last position, or the hope for short. While Mario is holding an object, the hope is constantly updated to match the position of Mario's hands, and as soon as Mario releases it, the original object is
Ah, we
instantly
confused him, you
marked
suck.
with hope as the held object disappears. There's one small but key method to
Hi,
help
Lexi.
create a seamless
I just got a
transition
haircut. I don't know what
with
you're talking
the
about.
object being placed exactly at the hope
Not any different than
Mario's
any other
position.
haircut that I've had in the
When
past.
Mario's dropping an object to the ground, the game aligns it with the
Let's
hope
go
horizontally and places it at Mario's
to
vertical position, which
let's go
sets
to
him
Kenya.
down on the ground. Most of the
He has the
time,
good
this
starters.
entire process is seamless
Fair
and
enough.
goes exactly according to plan.
How did you miss Leech Seed twice in a row? There we go.
Just enough to let a clever and meticulous player cause a complete meltdown. Remember,
GG's. Wow, Kenya's like, why is Kenya like actually being like the MVP right now? What is going on, guys? This is Dobbs here. Okay, I'm sorry.
In the case of a
Let's go out to Metalhead.
happens at the same time.
Okay, sure.
For a
It's
bunch of
very
the
sure.
signal to change states is established 2 frames before
What happened to
the
your
object
head?
change. This gap can be
Hmm?
used if the original object unloads.
No,
during
I'm
those
just
2 frames.
slowly evolving into
There are
Tyler 1. That's
multiple
what's going
ways
on.
to cause that to happen. The most common are
Next,
to
I just have to get a plate of
sit
spaghetti
for
and just
30 seconds and to
like,
grab it in the final 2 frames before
let it fall all over the
disappears,
camera.
or to grab a bob bomb as it's exploding. Anything that causes an object to unload within 2 frames of Mario grabbing it with the
Projectile, you missed. You suck. And then you didn't miss.
Loading zone, a trigger that unloads part of the level and loads
Hundo.
the other parts in its place.
5
Unloaded
hundo.
objects can no longer be
All right. Well, now that we
updated
did
to
that,
the original object
I guess we can
is
finish exploring, and then we can take on the gym trainers, I guess.
in the form of the held object, but that held object is now linked to a vacant object slot, or a slot that is ready to load any new object in it. A vacant slot is marked as empty and its contents can no
Your
longer
favorite
be
chapter tomorrow?
modified.
Yeah.
As a result, the held object looks invisible or frozen, since it represents the final state of the original object before it unloads.
All right. I'm gonna
When
hook
a
up to
new
Repel.
object
Say,
is loaded in that
well, but
slot,
one.
the reference
Actually, Repel's not gonna
object
matter. All
is
these people want a higher
a
level than me.
different object than what was originally intended. While it appears like we've cloned a new object,
I just need to get Kabutops up in levels, and unfortunately, I have to play on set mode, and so it's gonna be hard to switch train. But you know, it's whatever.
Like there are two of them at once.
It is what it
However,
isn't.
when Mario throws
That doesn't even
it
make sense.
holding, you can see that the copy disappears.
You have Bane
and the
attack.
original object is marked near Mario's position.
Yeah.
But what happens if the new object cannot be thrown?
I know. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Each grabbable object
Mini
has a
me.
script that takes care of its behavior when grabbed, dropped, and thrown.
More like Ambi dead.
It will simply do
Okay, I got way
nothing
too
when
carried away there. I'm
thrown.
sorry.
Its behavior script will essentially be erased.
I do not want to
and won't
focus
be able
energy.
to function normally anymore, so it will
Squid
stay frozen in
owl.
place.
I actually think
This has a
Kabutops could take
very
this thing down.
important side
I have
effect
Absorb,
when
so
the object being cloned has a spawner. Spawners are put in place.
Maybe
to
not,
handle
maybe
the
not.
loading and unloading of a group of objects.
Maybe
like a
freaking
coin
not.
line, a coin ring, or a Goomba trio, for example. When Mario moves far enough away from the broken Goomba, it remains loaded, yet its spawner doesn't get the memo, and so it also keeps working just
Splash
the same.
plate. Okay.
So the Goomba can
Very
be
cool.
spawned again, even though a broken copy of it already exists and it has successfully been cloned. Because the process
Plop,
of
you don't want
cloning
this, Plop?
involves erasing the behavior of the
I'm so
object
sorry.
being cloned, it suffers
Go to
from
middle head.
limitations. First, the
Buble.
object being cloned needs to have a spawner, otherwise it can only be transported. That can still be useful though.
Power
and in
level up,
fact,
let's go.
It's still referred to as cloning even if the object in question isn't actually duplicated. But the most important limitation is that
We have
cloning
Rock
cannot
Smash. I don't know
be
if we can
do
use it yet,
anything
though.
like the object it's supposed to be. Luckily, the interactions that Mario can have with an object aren't handled directly by the behavior script, so clones can be interacted with. Unfortunately, the missing
Just get an
behavior
HM
script
one.
is responsible for handling the interaction status of the object, so after a single interaction, it also malfunctions. So while Mario can interact with a clone, he can only do it once. For example, throwing a coin clone causes Mario to collect it, but leaves it frozen in place and impossible to collect again. Throwing a Goomba clone causes Mario to immediately be knocked back by it, after which it becomes frozen and intangible, essentially making the clone utterly useless. Fortunately, there is a workaround. If Mario throws a Goomba clone while he's falling fast enough, Mario will move out of the way as he releases the clone and they will not collide. So Mario can come back and bounce on it once, and only once. So all Pan and Koic had to do
Hey,
was
we made it
to
out, let's
clone a
go.
Goomba and
Alright,
throw it while falling,
right, okay,
then
so let's
come
get an
back,
HM on real
bounce
quick,
and reach the
so we can
island.
get the item.
Wrong. There's
why
one
not?
more major problem. To release an object clone, the object being cloned has to be close enough to still be loaded. Unlike objects in Limbo,
Let's use
which
a
are forced to
barrel
stay loaded for as long
as our
Mario's
HM
holding
one,
them,
'cause
clone
that's
objects
hilarious.
aren't bound by this rule, so they unload when Mario goes outside a certain radius from their spawners. While over here, the Goomba trio under the island can be loaded. Over there, they no longer can. This called for another trick from the bag, remote release. What seems like 2 hours ago, I said that the held object's last position is constantly updated as Mario walks
Have you already
around
beat the gym?
holding something.
Which gym are you talking
Turns
about?
out that there's a way to prevent it from being updated. There are a few ways to do this, but for now, we're going to look at the hatted hand glitch. The animation for putting on a hat has 2 stages. During the first stage, Mario is holding the hat in his hand, and in the second stage, the hat is on his head. When Mario picks up a hat, the first stage is triggered. Mario starts holding the hat, and the
Let's
animation
belish the
Now,
reasts.
if Mario comes across a second hat to put on, as soon as the first animation is over, a second animation plays, but the animation timer doesn't reset. As a result, the second animation is instantly interrupted and Mario ends up with his hat in his hand. Putting on 2 hats
I'm a
in succession
believer.
can happen either by duplicating hats using a warp or by reusing a special cap box before the first one expires. This glitch has important ramifications.
associated with
regarding
Rock
the
Smash?
hope. If Mario grabs an object while holding a hat, the object will still
If
be
you're talking about
held
Chuck,
down,
then
but Mario will
no.
look like he's holding his hat instead. Because the held object isn't being rendered, the hope is not updated like it should. This causes the hope to become
Bro, just got the double
disjointed
protect!
because the
Wow, I
position
did
remains
literally
frozen
nothing.
wherever it
Alright.
was last
Oh.
updated. For example, if Mario releases a quirk box here, then performs the hat in hand glitch and throws up a bomb, the bomb
Would've thought I
will be
would've
released
done
because
at least a
Mario
little
released
bit
the
more,
quirk
but
box earlier,
it's
because
not the
that's where the hope
rock I wanna
still
break.
is. This is known as remote release. Despite the complex setup,
Ooh,
of
rare
the
candy,
hand
worth it.
drawbacks,
Could I just done this the whole time?
Pan
No, I
managed to
couldn't
get
have.
onto
Okay.
the island in
Makes
Bubble
sense.
Battlefield without using A. First, he grabbed an exploding Bob-omb, which gave him
There's
a
a skun
reference to
tank
the
in
vacant
here.
object
Interesting.
slot. Then he carried it to this gap where he released it to place the hope in midair. Next, he did the
Got the
hatted
metal
hand
head.
glitch and used another Bob-omb to clone a Goomba from this trio. Using remote release, he transported that Goomba over to the hope where he could go
Alright,
and
well,
bounce
that's
on
cool.
it. Just
Power
one
is
Goomba
slowly
wasn't
but surely
enough.
catching
We
up
needed
to the
more
team.
to make a bridge to the island. But here's the catch. To place a Goomba further along, the hope needs to be further along, which means Mario himself needs to be further along, so he needs to bounce on this Goomba to place that Goomba. But remember, clones can only be interacted with once, so once Mario bounces on the first Goomba to place the second Goomba, the first
Alright,
Goomba
we're running. I'm
becomes
not
an
messing with the
answer.
rollout.
So after placing the second Goomba, Mario needs to come back and place a third Goomba next to the first one so he can bounce on these two. This process becomes more tedious the longer the gap is, and exponentially so. You see, it's sort of like counting in binary, except the ones are Goombas that you place and the zeros are gaps that need to be filled. The length of
Move!
the bridge is the amount
Sorry.
of ones that you
I
need
lost my
in a row.
temper a little bit.
Therefore, for a bridge of length 1, you need a single.
Alright, let's go take on the gym
For
trainers.
length 2, you need 3 Goombas. Length 3, 7 Goombas. Length 4, 15 Goombas. And for a bridge of length n, you need 2 to the power of n minus 1. This can rapidly become a problem because the game crashes from having to draw too many triangles if there are somewhere around 40 Goombas on screen. That puts the upper bound of a Goomba bridge's length at only 5. In this case, Panin was able to get across
Drift
using
Bloom.
3 Goomba
Alright, let's
bounces,
go out
which means he had
to...
to place 7 Goomba
I guess
bounces
Metalhead.
to cross the gap. For the red coins, this was sufficient, but for this star, he needed something extra.
Minimize is
to reach the star.
fine.
A Goomba to bounce on would be nice. There are 2 options to get that to happen. The first is to keep the same strategy,
Umbert?
set up the hope under the star, then
think there's
remotely
only
release
one
a
real
Goomba
option
clone
we can
from
go for
elsewhere
here.
and reap the benefits. There's one major issue though. Because the wing cap box on
Get
the
outta here,
island
bruh.
doesn't allow for the hat in hand glitch to be possible,
Vampy.
cloning has to be done off the island after the hope was put on there first. A Goomba bridge is a single-use infrastructure, so 2 trips to the island require 2 separate Goomba bridges. The second option is to release the clone directly at the location. Fortunately, the top of the island is close enough to these
Nice, got a
Goombas
crit.
that they can be loaded and therefore cloned while on the island. Unfortunately, Mario can't release
Look at
the clone
Kabutops,
without
took down his first
instantly
Pokemon.
bumping into it and ruining its purpose.
I'm proud
because
of you.
There's no way to release it by falling from above. But falling
Raichu,
isn't the only
let's go
method
out
prevent
to...
interacting with the clone
I guess we'll go out to
being
Gardevoir.
released. What if instead, Mario couldn't be knocked back by the Goomba because he was already being knocked back by something else? A damage knockback forces Mario to drop whatever he's holding, and it also prevents him from interacting with the Goomba clone being released this way, so it is the perfect idea on paper. But one hurdle remains. Mario still needed something to take damage from. Now if you remember 2 million years ago, I mentioned that dropping an object has a slightly different effect than throwing it. It places the object at the hope laterally, but at Mario's height, which, because the hope is usually somewhere near Mario's hands, effectively sets the object down on the ground in front of Mario. If the hope is disjointed, however, the effect can be wildly different. Remote dropping an object will place it at the point corresponding to the hope's lateral position in Mario's vertical position, which can be a completely new point otherwise inaccessible.
Golding.
If we go back to the Bob-omb example, dropping the Bob-omb causes it to be placed up there. Going back to shoot to the island in the sky, the star is at a location whose coordinates can easily be reached both laterally and vertically, but not at the same time. By releasing a cork box underneath the star's
Bark.
location,
You're a special attacker, but I think it...
glitch, and then cloning a
Oh, I figured
cannonball
Sonic
by
Boom.
dropping it
Who am I
down,
joking?
PanenKoek was able to release the cannonball at the hope laterally, but at Mario's height. This left the clone on the island, despite Mario never needing to go there himself. Finally, after cloning one last Goomba, he was able to release the clone by getting knocked back by the cannonball. This allowed him to place a Goomba clone without interacting with it, and he could use the bounce to reach the star without pressing A a single time. You may wonder why Panin didn't simply remote drop a Goomba onto the island instead of using a cannonball. That's because there's no way to be at the correct height while still being close enough to a Goomba for it to be loaded. The only Goombas close enough are clones, and because a clone never unloads, it also never reloads.
Let's not
so it's
risk
impossible
anything.
to
Let's just
clone
go
a
out to
clone.
Gardevoir. Wait, why would I go out to Gardevoir? I'm an idiot.
All the Goombas in the cannonball conveniently loaded into the specific object slot that Mario was holding. The reason
One
behind
shot
this
is
could be an
special in this
entire
game, I
video
believe.
itself,
Ugh.
and in fact, PanenKoek
Guess if I get
did
hard,
that
no.
video already. But in short, when
I don't really see
multiple
myself
objects
using
unload
that.
on the same frame, such as a coin ring, a Goomba trio, or other groups of objects, they unload in the reverse order that they were loaded in. Through meticulous planning and deep knowledge of object loading behavior, it's possible to manipulate which object will be loaded into Mario's hands. Here, Panin was actually just winging it, retrying over and over until he would get the result he wanted, just like he had been doing for years. But eventually, with enough time and research, he came to master the process of cloning. This groundbreaking strategy was
It actually
one of the
wasn't wanting to
first
kill
ever
it.
contributions that PanandKoic made to the A button challenge. Unfortunately, as ridiculous as it was, it actually wasn't an improvement. Unbeknownst to him, 2 years prior, the Japanese testers already knew you could simply use a shell and a steep slope to gain super speed backwards and fly across the gap to the island that way. In fact, most of PanandKoic's first videos simply came to the same result as his predecessors. Nonetheless, he did start finding new improvements as well. The very first one was Wiggler's red coins in Tiny Huge Island, using an idea from fellow tester Plush to use a slight kick bounce to reach this platform. This brought the total count down to 207. By the way, quick side note, the count was said to be 228 in 2011 and down to 208 in 2013.
Okay, let's go fight these
Like I
trainers
mentioned
now.
before, early A-Press count
The level cap is
wasn't
25,
figured
so
out precisely for all sorts of reasons, and I purposely gave the most conservative estimate. This 208, however, is a pretty solid measure based on the full game-oriented thinking that was implemented during this period and retroactively applied to the known scores at the time. The main discrepancy comes from combining the TikTok clock 100 coin star with Stump on the Twomp to save 14.
I was so
A-presses,
close
but there are
to. Wait, I
multiple
can risk
other
it.
small differences as well. After Wiggler,
Why did I do? He got. Why did he get so many crits? That was like his third crit.
The old 5A press
Bull crap, dude.
carpet ride to rise up high enough to access this platform in the maze
Bruh.
using then to navigate
That was
through
literally
the
so dumb.
But Panan figured out that you could simply
He got
keep
3
using
crits in one fight, bruh.
using only this jump every round.
In less than 10
With
turns.
clever routing and platforming,
He didn't even use
this
like
moved
focus
Panan
energy or
to
anything
drop
like
the
that.
A-plus count down to only 2. After another dozen
To be completely honest, John Tom, I literally have no idea what this video is about.
Fairly easily, but the fight itself required 3 ground pounds on Womp's back, which automatically meant 3 A presses. That is until Panan had the idea of lowering Womp to the elevator.
Well, I guess we're gonna
and using
bring
a
Foso
rotating
back
platform
on the
to gain
team.
airtime and ground pound the mini-boss with no A presses.
guess.
Unfortunately, while in the previous strategy the star could be collected instantly after the final hit, this luring strategy meant that Panan would need to find a new way to collect the star without using A. He couldn't find any and left it at 1 A press, improving
Actually, let's
by
give it
2.
the splash
His
plate.
next stop was Tall Mountain. Well, not exactly. First, he did a quick trip to Tiny Huge Island to throw this Chuckya, then made his way to Tall Mountain and saved
I can deposit my
He performed the hat-in-hand glitch using the warp to duplicate his hat, cloned the Goomba, and then threw it. You can see the Goomba disappear, but where did it go?
cause
Well, it appeared right under the
are
star.
gone but never gone.
And
Bro,
this
bro
is
literally
why
lasted
every
like
Tiny Huge
20
Island
minutes.
first.
Like,
It
bro,
only ever gets initialized once when the
bro
game is
literally
rebooted.
lasted like
After
20
that,
minutes
only
or
ever
that
gets updated
in
when
his
Mario's
life. Like,
holding an
this,
object
how sad.
and stays frozen otherwise, including
Pussycat
between
D.
levels. When Mario threw the Chuckya in Tiny Huge Island, the hope was set at this
Whatever.
position. Those same coordinates in Tall Mountain correspond to the top of the mountain right below the star. So with a remote release, Panan was able to place the Goomba up there from all the way down here. There's one detail that I glossed over. How did Mario reach this point up the mountain without jumping? He did it thanks to a new technique called frame walking. Mario can run up steep slopes to a point, but he keeps losing speed until it dips into the negatives, at which point he slides down on his belly.
Ha, bro.
When Mario's speed is low enough,
Pathetic.
the stick is neutral and then forwards again. Mario will
Magneton,
gain speed on the first frame, even
let's
on
go
the
to God of
steep
War.
slope. By quickly alternating between neutral and forwards, it's possible to walk up steep slopes that way.
I hate this game.
This climb saved 1 A press, and the Goomba clone at the top saved another. Now there are 3 other stars in
Ooh,
total
Aqua
mountain
Jet,
that also
yes!
require the
Great
A-press
move,
to get
great
past
move.
this point. Mystery of the Monkey Cage, breathtaking view from bridge, and the
Solid
100
physical
coin
water
star.
type move.
Frame walking could get rid of that A press in all of them. This discovery marked Tall Mountain as the second stage that could be fully completed in 0 A presses.
Gross.
Soon after, Panan looked into various stars, mostly from the basement levels, and he found some minor improvements to existing strategies along the way. He first went to
I
the
don't know why I'm
course
fighting this
where a
thing.
dive recover from a crystal allowed him to get onto the switch in 0 A presses, then found a few clever strategies. in
Okay,
shifting
Thunderstrike does a
tempo.
little bit more.
He used
At least
tornadoes
to
and
meta
fly
gross.
dives to reach the red coins without needing to fly or jump, and he bounced on the hand on the final hit and stand tall on 4 pillars to reach the star. He still had to jump once here to get out of the elevator platform and into the fight. He then found a minor improvement in Jolly Roger Bay by combining the 100 coins with the red coin star and by only using B to swim until he had to jump inside the cave for blue coins.
I got
Then, back in Shifting
also.
Sandland, he cloned a cork box by using remote release to place it partly through the edge of another box and having it explode as it despawned, causing it to give infinite coins. This let him get the 100 coin star in 0
Easy.
presses. Next, he went over to Big Boo's Haunt, where one clever strategy allowed him to save A presses on
Actually, I
4
should have
different
gone
stars.
like
He
down.
manipulated these bookends to fly to a convenient spot, then used a double bookend bounce to save one A press going to the
Hold on,
top
it's
of the
so
mansion.
freaking
This was useful in
slow.
both Big Boo's balcony and eye-to-eye in the secret room. Additionally, he was able to manipulate the Big Boo to help him reach the top of this box and then the star without any additional A presses.
Oh, I thought.
Bouncing
Okay,
on
never mind.
bookends also allowed him to reach this red coin without using A, which
Yeah, we got the
obviously saved
mosaic
an A
mail,
press
let's
for
go.
the red coin star. But also, that made the number of coins attainable in 0 A presses go from 99 to 101, which meant the 100 coin star was now also possible in 0 A presses. Another similar method helped save an A press in Hazy Maze Cave for the 100 coin star. Here, swoopers were used to bounce up to get
But
the
I've
loot
been an
coins
uncle for
and
about a
kill and
year.
sniff it.
Um,
And after all of these cute little developments, Pan and Koek felt that
Like
it was
9
time for
months.
another revolution. He switched from Project 64.
he's
to
9 months old now. Well, 9.5 now, I guess. But
This time, the revolution was not in the game itself, but technological. He finally got rid of his choppy free trial software captures and got a proper video encoding setup that is MUPIN64 Direct AVI capture. But perhaps the biggest improvement was in passing capabilities. Project 64 only has save states, so all of his videos up to this point were recorded mostly in real time, interrupted with pauses to use save states. MUPIN64 offered frame advance, RAM watch, and many other tools critical to making a good task. He also started saving movie files of his inputs.
He's kinda close to you?
Go back and improve them, share them
Pretty
with
good
his
guess.
peers, and archive them for historians to look at 8 years into the future. The result was a crisp, full 30 frames per second cinematic experience of the A button challenge for the second time in history, after the Japanese task. With this new high-quality setup, he felt emboldened to tackle the most daunting level in the game, TikTok Clock. He
should be
began
an
by
item or
lowering
TM. I
the
don't
hand to
remember. I
0
think it's
A
TM.
presses by figuring out a way
Fine.
to get up the entire section by ground pounding into a butt slide face first into the wall. The bonking animation lets Mario stay on the steep slope of the rotating platform without sliding off, just long enough that it has time to turn until it's no longer too steep to stand on.
bro, he
Panin did have a
outplayed me in my own
strategy.
game, bruh.
Used one A press to get a little higher up at first, but Panin's new method could do it in no A presses at all. This new strategy did not only save A presses for get a hand, of course. It turned out to be useful for pretty much every star in the level. It saved the only A press left for the red coin star. He got roll into the cage from 4 down to 3. Time jumps on moving bars from 11 down to 7 by also using a precise heave-ho flip to save an A press, and stomp on the thwomp from 15 down to 9 with more efficient platforming combined with all the other strategies, on top of also combining it with the 100 coin star for
They're
good
gonna
measure.
look alike.
Finally, the pit and the
Wait,
pendulums was
oh,
also
yeah.
improved from 6 down to
Yeah.
4 using the rotating red coin platforms and a better jump up to save another A press. While he was devastating TikTok Clock, Panin also tackled Bowser in the Sky. The previous record of 13 A presses was relatively well done, but Panin found 3 spots where it could be improved. First, this section where precise slide kicks could let Mario get around these obstacles instead of over them. Second, another precise dive recover let him cross the gap between these platforms, and finally, a Goomba manipulation to bring it down to be bounced on saved the third A press to bring the star down to 10. Panin Koek's next stop was Dire Docks. There, his first improvement was massive. He brought pole jumping for red coins, a nightmare of a star for the A-button challenge, from 10 A presses.
That's so creepy if you think about like that happening in real life. And
Wait,
a
what?
50-something-year-old man offering his phone number
There's
to
actually
a
a simple explanation for it. Allow
10-year-old
me
girl,
to
like,
introduce the
bruh.
half A press.
I actually have a pretty big fire type weakness, and it's kind of
Water
bad.
levels are a special kind of problem for the A-button challenge because you need to tap A constantly to swim. If you don't press
Okay.
it, then Mario's underwater movement options are extremely
This isn't
limited.
good.
He can slowly sink down to the bottom, or if he's close enough to the surface, slowly rise up to it. He can grab with B, which moves him forward
Please
a
don't-
little bit
okay.
for this long animation. Or if he gets a hold of one, he can grab a Koopa shell and move around faster for a short time.
That's a little scary.
sometimes Mario can be swimming while holding an object, a useful situation that we'll discover in a minute.
Alright, we
In
need to
that case,
heal.
swimming can't be used because Mario would throw that object instead of swimming. There is one solution. If A is
It's Olivine though. And I know that there's a trade, in-game trade
Since it does require A to be
this town, so we can go check that
method
out.
uses one
Okay.
A press. Or does it?
Or when you're just is extremely
If you were to
creepy.
play the star in isolation,
Fair enough.
sure, that would be true. But in
Fair
the context of a full
enough.
game run, you could press A earlier for some other star that requires an A press.
I'm gonna talk to this guy
and simply
near the
hold
counter. He
out
looks
that A
important.
press for as long as you need. If you do that, the two A presses would combine into one single long A press that achieves multiple purposes at once.
Nope,
So
he is
why
useless.
It's called 3.5 A presses.
Wait, does this guy give you the
point of
rod?
orientation serves as a middle ground to show the duality
No.
of the situation.
I'm pretty
When
sure you get the
counting
good rod
star
in this
by
town though.
itself, you round up the A press count to 4, and when
Maybe I'm
taking
wrong, I
other
don't
stars
know.
in consideration as part of a full game run, you would run it down to 3.
Or shot for Ladybug.
Stars A press. 3.5
I'd have to be
A
the stupidest
presses
human
is
being
better
on
than
planet
4
Earth in
in
order to
full
make
game
that trade.
runs, but worse than 3 in isolation, so it makes sense to fit it in the middle. Now that that's cleared up, how did Panin actually improve that star by so much? First, he grabbed the Koopa shell from the bottom and carried it up to the surface. If Mario is swimming with the shell and the timer expires or he touches
Okay, so
dry
yeah, he
air,
doesn't
the
let us
shell will
pass until we
disappear.
get the
This
perfect
timer,
jump.
being quite short, effectively makes shells
Oh wait,
useless
hold on.
in
Before I
the
leave, I want to see what the
Here's the
items
clever
are in the secondary shop.
This only happens if Mario is swimming with the shell, but he can also throw it. When Mario throws the shell, for a few frames,
Metronome
he
pretty
still holds
good.
onto it, but he's no
Yeah, I'll
longer
get one of
swimming
those.
with it. So by throwing the shell and interrupting that throw by surfacing, Mario bypasses destroying the shell and can keep it indefinitely. So now he can carry it wherever
Let's
he
get some more
wants.
great balls.
However, the shell no longer functions like an underwater Koopa shell, but rather like any held object. To be
Alrighty.
able to go anywhere with it, Mario needs A to be held to swim. This is why
We
this
need
star
to finish
requires
grinding
an
and
extra
then
half A press.
We
But
can take
where does he
on.
need to go with that
what is-
shell?
Is there an item over
In
here?
that
Or-
tunnel is a loading
think so.
zone, a trigger that switches between the rooms when Mario crosses it. The switch involves unloading
sure
the
fu-
first
okay,
room
hold on, there's
and
item
loading
I
the
forgot.
second, all the objects in them included, to save memory. Now,
Wait,
what
what?
happens if Mario goes through the loading zone?
And you only
and
get there
finds
if
an
you
object
rock
that
climb?
he's
Oh,
currently
that's so
holding,
annoying.
like a Koopa shell. Cloning, of course. After unloading the Koopa shell, Mario holds a vacant slot which can now contain newly loaded objects that aren't supposed to be held. Again, with clever planning, Pan and Koic manipulated a pole to load into the slot that Mario was holding so that he would be able to carry it around and throw it somewhere. Note that because poles aren't handled by a spawner, this is an instance of cloning that doesn't duplicate but merely transports the pole. So Panin had to be mindful of which pole he would transport to make sure he didn't get rid of a pole he would need to use afterwards. After releasing the clone, he could climb it and reach the upper
I know I'm grinding
platform
Bronzong right now, but
single
honestly, I
layers.
think I should swap.
Here, it was
I should get a
mostly
new team
matter of
member
navigating
over
around
Bronzong,
poles without
because
jumping,
I have a big
sometimes
fire
requiring
type
some sketchy
weakness,
diving
and it
and
freaks me out.
one more jump was required to get to the furthest pole, and back in the water he went. He needed another A press and a second pole clone to reach the final red
There's
point,
the item, right?
helped by the fact that these poles are actually longer than their visual model suggests. All that was left was the star, which
Yeah, I think we need to swap
unfortunately
out
wasn't easy to reach either.
Bronzong for a
But
new
thankfully,
team
just
member.
like any other object, stars can also be cloned. Remember that releasing an object clone
Already-
physically
okay,
moves
so
that
I don't want
object to a
Rhyhorn.
new location.
Suck.
Clones
We already
aren't
have a
just
water
replica
type.
copies of an object,
We already have a
they
fighting
are the
type.
actual object. They only become a copy if a spawn
Actually,
spawns
Aerodactyl
the
might be good.
original
We don't have a
object
rock
again.
flying type.
So the star that Mario is collecting is absolutely real. He's able to collect it remotely without any additional A presses.
I have an
for
otter.
A total of 3, plus having.
I'm gonna look up Aerodactyl's level up
For the
moveset real
rest
quick.
of Dire Docks, the half A press shell swimming strategy to clone a star was relevant for most stars.
See if it gets
aside
any
from
good moves
Antler's
relatively
reward,
soon.
Which didn't require any A presses, and the
Level
100 point
13
star,
gets
which
agility.
now Panin left alone.
Jet power.
Also, chest in the current did
Orange level
require A
33, that's
swimming
not gonna be
as
for a
well,
while,
not
though.
because of cloning, but because of the whirlpool forcing Mario to swim at least a little bit more efficiently.
I mean,
This
don't get me wrong,
knockdown
Aerodactyl's
couldn't
not
be
bad.
completed
It's
by
just
4 because
the moveset's
4 stars
kinda
that were
yeesh.
previously listed as needing 1 A press could now be completed simply by leeching off of a previous A press instead. But the half A press was not going to be limited only to Dire Docks.
I mean, yeah, sure,
It
why
proved
not?
useful in Wing Mario over
Whatever.
the Rainbow as well. Holding A has more benefits like falling slower while twirling, which remember was already known over a decade
on, I'm
earlier. But also,
blanking
holding A allows Mario to fall slower.
Alright, well, we've
with
pretty
a
much
recap
fought
and
like
kick
every
by
single
tapping the
trainer.
wheel. Kicking can't
Except
help Mario
for,
down steep slopes, although frame walking
Except for this
absolutely
rocket
does.
grunt.
Here, however,
And I think
Mario
actually we
still
are
wanted
missing
to
one
win
more
and forced Mario to reach the bottom
trainer.
platform to shoot out from the cannon. Because this star still requires 2 cannon shots, the A press count was now 2.5. At this point, aside from a few stray stars, the only levels left for Pan and Coic to explore were Snowman's Land and Wet Dry World.
We got
Snowman's
demolished.
Land was already nearly figured out before Panon even touched it, but Wet Dry World totaled 18 A presses, nearly half of which were for the red coin star alone. So there was a lot of potential for improvement. Panon started with Secrets in the Shallows and Sky.
It made
Note that
HM
because
preserve
entering
the
levels
go.
is also an implicit part of the challenge. You can't just enter Wet Dry World any way you want. The initial water level depends on the height at which Mario enters the painting, so with no jumps, the only available initial water level is the lowest one. Thankfully, there's a warp to the cannon platform at the top of the stage, and there are heave-hoes that can flip Mario up to higher levels. Panon used a combination of those to
okay, I
get
guess
most
there's more
of the
trainers.
secrets, but the last one was a bit trickier.
Alright,
His strategy was to use a cannon shot to reach it, but instead he got a helping hand from Chuckya. He manipulated the random number generated by the game, or RNG value, to be favorable so that Chuckya would throw
I'm gonna get
directly
some,
into the bridge, which let him access the final secret in 0 A presses. He used the same strategy to save an A press in Express Elevator Hurry Up and the 100 coin star. Top of the Town was still problematic because despite being able to get all the way to breaking the box in 0 A presses, he had to jump to get the star. The old strategy from 2008 was to use a cannon shot to go directly on top of the box and ground pound it, which also took 1 A press. But since activating the cannon took an additional A press that was not counted at the time, this new method was an indirect improvement. But the real problematic stars were Quick Race Through Downtown and the Red Coin Star. Those were sitting at 5 and 8 A presses respectively before Pan and Coic had a crack at them.
Give me 1 second, guys.
The
Sorry.
solution he found for each of them is pretty complex, so let's start with Quick Race Through Downtown. When Mario throws Chuckya, it will explode into 5 coins upon landing. This explosion happens based on Chuckya's state of being thrown. Here, Mario throws Chuckya and falls off the ledge at the same time, which lets him catch up to it and intercept it while it's falling down. Chuckya then grabs Mario in midair, which changes its state from being thrown to holding Mario.
So we should have rare
Therefore,
candies
when it
here.
lands on the ground, it no longer
we do
wants
not.
to explode, which effectively brings Chuckya down to this level. From there, Panon abuses object collision priority and uses Chuckya to push Mario inside of the block and throw Chuckya through the wall. Immediately after, he gets caught by Chuckya again, and both of them fall down into the pipe below, where Mario can retrieve Chuckya and carry it around in the water. There are other ways to bring Chuckya here, but this method uses no A presses to do so. Once Mario is holding Chuckya underwater, he needs to swim. He could do that simply by holding A, but unfortunately that doesn't work after pressing B to grab an object, so he actually needs to press the A button once. But from
Let me see if I have
the tunnel contains a loading zone.
Yeah, I have L and R set to T and Y.
Wet Dry World, so he can clone the Quick Race Through Downtown star. Note that the cloning of a star can only be done if the star is already out there and collectible, so the same can't be done for something like the red coins, for instance. But just like
I thought
he managed to get
that would work.
star
Hey,
from
that
5
code doesn't work.
to
Hold on,
only
guys.
1 press.
Sorry, I'm
The red coin star was definitely the most challenging because
trying to
it
get
was
the rare
multiple
candy, so
problems at once.
I don't have to grind or
To
whatever.
access
But
most red coins, Mario needs to break a box, which he can only do out of the water. However, if the water
maybe I
level
just
is
need to
low,
press
he
it. I don't
needs a lot
know.
of A presses to reach the higher platforms.
Let me go
So he
to
both needs the water level to be high so that he can navigate without using A, but also to be low so that he can break the boxes the coins are in. If he lowers the water to break a box, he needs a way to raise it back up, and the only crystal that raises the water is way up there, inaccessible on the water without jumping a bunch of times. This web of restrictions is nearly impossible to navigate.
I don't know why it's not working.
But if it's nearly impossible, it's not impossible. But there was a price to pay. In his own words, that star was a total pain to record and edit. And you know what? I believe him. The strategy takes 14 hours to execute. Of course, breaking down how all of it works would be too gigantic of a task. So let's do it.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not working. Is it in the
If you pay close attention, you can see that even when it's at a fixed height, the water level bobs up and down by a significant amount. This is not purely visual. The actual water level follows a sinusoidal function with an amplitude of 20 units.
Is that a thing in this game?
128 frames.
Well, I don't know why it's not working.
In other words, the water has a median level and it deviates from that median by up to 20 units on a cycle that repeats every 4 seconds or so. The downtown area
this is annoying.
independent from the main area. When Mario goes from downtown to
Blah.
the area, the water level
Yeah, leave
is
you on time.
reserved
Alright, I
for when he
appreciate you
comes
stopping
back.
by, dude.
But here's the key thing. The current water level is saved and then used as the median water level when Mario comes back. Therefore, if Mario loads the downtown area and unloads it when the water is above the median, when he comes back, the new median will be here and the water level will rise and dip 20 units around that new line. If you repeat this process, you can raise the water level arbitrarily high 20
Let me
units at a
see
time.
if
If you do the opposite and leave when it's below the median, you can lower it the same way. However, this is easier said than done. The loading zone is in the middle of an underwater tunnel, which means Mario cannot
Alright, let me try
stand
this
here and swim in
real
circles
quick.
around
This
the
code real
loading
quick.
zone
Hold
to
on.
raise or lower the water as he pleases. He needs to get some air from time to time, so the water in the main area needs to be at its lowest level. To access this corner, you can simply slide along this ledge, carefully keeping Mario on with the precise angle and stick movement. And now, Mario has just barely enough time to lower the water level once before
What
he has
hold
to
on, what do I
rush
have
back
set
and
to
get some
select?
air. So this process is
Space.
extremely tedious. To get this part done without actually repeating all of this work over and over for days, PanandKowick figured out a way to make a sequence of inputs that would be loopable, and repeated it for however many iterations he needed.
Dude,
After
I just
lowering
want...
the water 26 times, he could finally enter downtown. By now, the water
This is
was low
annoying.
enough
I
that
just
he could
want to
some
get
air
rare
inside
candy,
the tunnel
bruh.
itself, and he could go and break this first box.
I don't know why
But
this
as
is
you can see, this
like
code
not
prevents him from
possible.
lowering the
Like, I don't know what's
water
going
any
on.
more than that because it would block access to downtown if he did. So Panan had to raise the water instead. He does so for 4 hours. In that time, the water level is raised 398 times. Now the water level is far above the top of the stage. At this point, it's so high up that when Mario touches the low crystal, he has time to swim up to a higher platform before the water level catches up. Or at least he would if he had enough air.
Ugh.
Unfortunately, bee swimming
This
is
is so annoying,
slow that
man.
Mario would drown before he got there. But thankfully, coins restore energy. By grabbing a few coins along the way, Panan was able to extend his underwater time just enough to make this genius route possible. After this high anxiety swim up to the top, Mario is now high up in 0 A presses, while the water is low, which lets him break boxes, and he has access to the high crystal so he can raise the water back up and go back to the main area if needed. He activates the high crystal and dives down to one of the boxes to break it just before the water catches up. From there, he only needs to get some air and he can go back and repeat this process again to break more boxes. And that's what he does. For another 4 hours, he raises the water 366 times and repeats the same process. However, coins are limited, so he has to become more and more creative with how he uses them to buy himself more underwater time. The longer he has to go out of his way to get more coins, the more coins he needs to get to offset that extra time. This time, he has just barely enough time to break this second box. Then he goes back and raises the water another 376 times, uses up the
Hold
last
on,
few coins he has to his disposal, and breaks one more box. In one final trip, he raises the
I don't know,
water
guys. This is
154 times, and
really
with almost
stupid.
no coins left to keep him alive, collects
I might
all
have
the
to
red
look up
coins that he left behind
how to
specifically for this
use-
moment, and he breaks off the last few boxes and
I'm gonna have to look up how to do on this specific emulator. Let me see real quick. Hold on. No, what just happened? This is not Melon DS. You frick.
So to get unlimited healing items, and more importantly, unlimited rare candies and Pokemon Black or White, go into the description of this video, copy the action replay code, and paste it into your emulator as an action replay code. Then all you have to do is...
Hello YouTube, this is your boy Rickroll.
I don't care.
Back with another video, and today I'm going to show you how to get unlimited rare candies in any Pokemon ROM on Desmumi.
Bro, I want to figure out for this specific emulator. Oh, here we go. That is literally not helpful. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to do, guys. I've literally been doing this like a million times.
Gets the star. All of that in 0 A presses and only 14 hours. Even among all the cloning he had done, this single star was probably the most intense strategy PanandKoic had pulled off up to this point.
I have enabled
It also saved in
cheats on.
A presses in a single
So
game,
I don't.
making it to this day
There
the
we go.
largest
Oh my
single
goodness.
improvement in the challenge's history.
I
And
don't know why that
wasn't
was
even done
like
yet,
not working.
but he was almost
That was weird.
He took a
Alright,
look
sorry
at the
about that,
red
guys.
and
Finally got
star
it
in the
fixed.
First 2 Bowser stages and found some improvements in them. In Bowser Nuzlocke,
Really annoying.
he lured a Goomba down here so he could bounce on it, and used frame walking to tilt the bridge 90 degrees and go up to a red coin, saving 3 A presses in total to bring it down to 2. In Bowser in the Fire Sea, he was able to use a Bob-omb to clone the star, saving the 2 A presses normally required to get up to it and grab it. In the final level he still had to go through, Snowman's Land, only 2 A presses remained, and he was able to save one of them. He got in the deep freeze from 1 to 0 A presses using Koopa hyperspeed. This had already been used before by the Japanese tassers, but I glossed over it until now. Here's how it works. The way speed on slopes is handled is fairly simple. When Mario is moving on a slope, his speed is calculated in such a way that he moves the same distance along that slope than if he were in flat ground. So with a speed of 30 on flat ground, Mario will move 30 units forward. But on a 30-degree slope, Mario will move by 30 units along the slope, which translates to 15 units up and 26 units forward. The way the game does this is that it factors Mario's speed by the cosine of the slope he's on to determine his lateral movement, and then moves him up or down to match the new height of the floor. This effective speed, which is always equal to or lower than Mario's real speed, is called the
I know that sounds crazy, but I'm actually not gonna learn Calm Mind.
Now this method works flawlessly when Mario is running parallel to the direction of the slope, but if he's moving perpendicularly to it, this speed reduction no longer makes sense. Nonetheless, it is still applied no matter which direction Mario is moving in. This is why he appears to slow down when going from flat ground to sloped ground despite keeping a similar speed, and this is the mechanic that makes shell hyperspeed possible. When Mario tries to ride up a steep slope, he'll rapidly lose speed and even slide back down the slope. But if he's angled right, something interesting can happen. The backwards acceleration is the same so long as Mario is facing up the slope, even if he barely is. Because the slope is so steep, his de facto speed is a tiny fraction of his real speed, so he basically stays in place despite his increasingly high speed. So by facing ever so slightly up very steep slopes, he can accumulate over 200 negative speed, about 7 times more than regular walking speed. All he needs to do next is to redirect that speed to propel himself to the star in 0 A presses. There were only a few stars left.
We're gonna inch power. Let's go ahead and forget Roar. I'm never gonna ever use that ever.
Had developed. After 1 A press to reach the cruiser,
Alright,
he was able
we got our team grinded up. Let's go ahead and take on Morty.
51 coins to reach 100 without having to go
You know,
above
yeah,
the
I'll
rules.
lead with
By the way,
I'll lead with
while there are other
him only.
poems in Rainbow Ride,
Is there an
only
item I
one
want to
cruiser is
give?
close enough to coins to clone them. The ones at the bottom
I have 2
of the
Silk
maze are
Scarf.
too far away from any coins.
Do you have
Dots
a
one
normal
with
type
the
move to
was
take
a little
advantage
more
of?
complicated.
No, you do
Using
not.
the
Okay,
shell
so that'd be
method that he
pointless.
used to clone poles in a star, he could clone coins, but there's a more efficient
I don't know. I'll probably give you
Instead of
the.
cloning coins one by one, he could clone an
Actually, hold on.
entire
Let's give you the
rainbow
Mystic
coins.
Water.
Like we've
'cause I
seen
believe
before,
the
rings of coins are handled by an
Flash
intangible
play is worth
invisible
more.
object called the spawner. On top of deciding when to load or
Yeah, there's not really a good item for
it
me to
also
give
keeps
you
track of
except for
which of its
Metronome,
coins
so
have
I'll
been
just go and do
collected
that
so
then.
it can stay consistent when you load the coins in and out of memory. However,
What are
just
the
like
items on my
every
other
object,
Fist Plate,
wandering
Quick Claw,
spawners can
Focus
be
Sash,
cloned.
Mystic Water?
Here's how the
Okay,
process
everything
works.
else checks out pretty
The
much.
cloning
Alright, I'm gonna
part
go ahead
works
and
exactly
sell
the
the
same.
thing.
But to clone an object, you need to be holding a vacant slot for it to load into. The problem with spawners is that they are loaded when you enter the level, and they always stay loaded no matter how far Mario is from
I mean, there's just no point in having the
There
same
is, however,
2 of
one
the
exception.
different items
If
that
the
do the
level
same
has
exact
multiple
thing.
segments separated by a loading zone, such as Wet Dry World or Dire Docks, then it is possible to load and unload a spawner. When a spawner is cloned, it will simply look like an invisible
Alright,
object.
Morty time. Wish
Just
me luck,
like any
guys.
other object not meant to be thrown, once the clone is released, it will cease to function properly. So it will also stop handling the loading and unloading of the coin ring. If a coin spawner clone is released, its associated coin ring will no longer load when Mario goes near it.
Little
But if the spawner clone is
sketch.
released
Let's go out to
while the
Gardevoir
coins are
here.
already loaded, then they will no longer unload when Mario goes far away. Also, when a coin from a coin ring is cloned, because it's
knew they were gonna
behavior is
heal, so
broken,
I'm
it
like,
will
I'm
be
not
unable
gonna
to send a signal to its spawner to indicate
for
that it's
another
been collected,
move.
so the spawner will spawn it again.
Des
when
Noir,
the owner goes
let's
back
go
and
out
duplicate
to
the coin.
Aerodactyl.
This works exactly the same way if the spawner is the one being cloned. The coins in a ring can
Where's
be
your rough
collected,
skin?
and it will
It's fine
send a
though.
signal to the spawner that they no longer should
GG
be
easy.
loaded the next time the ring is loaded, but the spawner will be
Manaphy.
unable to receive the message.
Let's go to
So when
Metalhead.
Mario reloads the area through the loading zone, the reloaded spawner will
Confused
have
me.
no memory of the coins being collected, and it will
I hit
spawn them
myself.
all over again. This method can be used specifically in dire
Oh, I hit myself.
docks to duplicate whole rings of coins at once
Hit
instead of
myself.
one at a time, significantly speeding up the process. This is
There we
what
go.
Panin did. He got 56 extra coins from
was
seven
annoying, but it's
coin ring
fine.
spawner clones and got
Wow,
the
he's got
1
2
star in
different
0.5
shaman. That's kind of
apiece.
hilarious, actually.
In Tiny Huge Island, Panin got Make Wiggler Squirm
Go to
from
home team, I
1 down
guess.
to 0 A presses by riding a shell up the mountain and clipping it using Czechia. Around this time, he also
Wave
found an
doesn't
improvement
do
in Wet Dry
a
World in
whole
Express
lot.
Elevator
Let's go
Coding.
out to our own
He found that
shaman,
by raising
and
the
I think
water
we should be
level,
fine.
He was able to hold A and swim onto the elevator instead of jumping to it. The timing for it is very tight, but it is
GG.
indeed possible. This reduced
Any other
the
one?
A press count from 1 to 0.5 because
Infros.
he needed A to
Oh,
be
boy.
held and not pressed. At this point,
Hey, we seeded Amphyros though, so
through every star in
good.
the game. He realized that he also needed
I'm sorry,
to account
Amphyros.
for
It
all
has
the
to be
A presses
done.
necessary to navigate the castle between all the levels.
I'm sorry.
So he dedicated a video to all
We're almost level. Got a whole entire
Milestone
freaking
is
level from
pretty
that. That's
trivial,
insane.
and like I
All right,
discussed
GG easy,
before,
no
the
deaths.
total comes up
Love
to
to see ya.
23 if you're being efficient. He found one precise side flip to grab
You
the
surf.
ledge
Okay, we got team 30.
on
Hopefully
one
it's
side,
good.
and wing Mario was
Swords
on the
dance.
other, which
Ooh,
was
that is
down.
great.
He proved that the 5 stars
They are
available inside
great.
the castle itself were all obtainable in 0 A presses.
No one on my
He
team
completed
can
his
learn it,
ridiculous run
except
the
for
complete
Gardevoir.
A
But like, come on.
challenge in Whomp's Fortress
I got
by doing
Psychic,
Falling to the Touched Island
you know,
the
here.
same way that Japanese Stashers
Yeah.
did it a few years prior. Finally, after all of this,
All right, so
work,
next gym
Pan and Koei
level
with
cap
some help
is
from Flush, managed to
31.
cut the 120 star A press count nearly in half, from 208 to 116.
So what I'm
But
gonna
to
do is I'm gonna
Lost
go
Track of
ahead
Time
and
during this epic
get my
journey.
Pokemon up to
How
like
many
all
years
of
have
them to like
passed?
level
3 years, 4
27.
years, maybe even 5 years? How about 2 months?
just to play it safe.
That's right. This entire revolution of the Super Mario 64.
But I don't want to get him
Level
too high level
challenge
just
took
because I
2
want to
months from
be able
beginning
to fight the
end.
trainers for money and
And
stuff.
the best part, he was
But,
only getting started. From August 25th to October 26, 2013, Pan and Koei 2012 completely reinvented the A button challenge almost entirely by himself.
Crunch, yes,
His unprecedented
please.
dedication and endless creativity, further enabled by a deep knowledge of the game and its infinite quirks, allowed him to come up with ideas and strategies far more advanced than anything that had been done before. Such stellar work was bound to be noticed. And sure enough, it was noticed. By pretty much the entire speedrunning community at the time. Some people were interested in more than just watching. From this point
Alrighty,
on,
awesome.
Pan and Koei was no longer alone. As soon as he completed his pass through every star in a game, Panin moved on to other challenges, such as no buttons allowed and no joystick allowed, where the only easy movement option is punching and jumping to slowly inch forward. The A button challenge project cooled down a bit since there was little incentive.
Alright, let's
to get
have,
back to it
I don't
or
know who's the
something
best
new
one to
had
lead
been
with.
discovered. He didn't
I
revisit the
I
challenge
guess
until late
Floatzel
March
just because he's
2013,
fast
when he
and
found that
decently
enemy lure
powerful.
strategies, which had been used to some extent before, had more potential than he had given them credit for. In Hazy Maze Cave, swoopers fly on a perfectly horizontal plane after their initial takeoff. He used that to his advantage by luring a swooper all the way to the slope, which raised it enough that he could bounce on it and reach the sledge to amazing emergency exit, cutting 1 A press in the process. The same could be done for navigating the Toxic Maze, which is just the other alcove to the right, but that one was a bit more
Alright, let's go take on the lighthouse real
because
quick.
there's no mole here, he instead had to align 3 swoopers at 3 increasing heights, all set up by luring them to various slopes so he could reach the higher ledge. This posed a very interesting logistical issue. Pan and Koei used his buddy, Pen and Paper, to solve and illustrate the puzzle. Enemy luring could also be applied with booze.
For sure, poison
While
point.
he did use a bookend bounce to reach this red coin before, the other red coin in this room still required an A press. But with clever manipulation, Panin got booze to line up under it and bounced on them to reach the coin. However, because he needed kicks to get a bit of starting height which require A to be held, he was only able to get Big Boost Hound's red coins from 2 down to 1.5 A presses. But remember, because full game runs round down half A presses, this was still good to lower the total A press count to 113. In the meantime, PanandQuick also made a brand new glitch discovery, transport cloning. Objects that can move around, like Goombas and Bob-ombs, have collision detection amongst themselves. We've already seen how this can lead to strange behavior while holding a Bob-omb. The function that handles the result of these collisions
Birch
is
got
the key to understand
creamed.
transport cloning. Two Goombas run into each other. Their respective positions cause their hitboxes to overlap, so the game attempts to reposition them. First, it finds the relative distance between them. Then, it finds the midpoint on this line, and finally, it moves each Goomba along the line from that point by their radius so their hitboxes end up tangential to each other. In the more generic case of two objects with different radii, the line is divided with the same ratio as the radii of the objects. When the two objects are repositioned, their hitboxes will always be tangential at that point along the line. While such a scenario is technically possible, by far the most common case involves
Dude,
two
how many
Goombas
freaking Pokemon do you
being
have?
placed at the exact halfway point between their original positions. The transport cloning glitch happens when the Goomba clone is released while the original is currently colliding with another Goomba. The key reason why it happens is that the Goomba is warped to the hope after the collision is detected but before the collision handling function is run. When the function finds the relative distance
Rutina,
between them,
not worried.
which should be a small distance, ends up being arbitrarily large. After that, the game finds the midpoint and places each Goomba...
Why do you
in
have a
radius
full
of the
restore and a
direction, so the
Giratina?
result
Frick
is that
you,
both
bruh.
Goombas are warped to the point halfway between their original positions and the hope. Another important detail is that this repositioning is only done along the horizontal plane. The vertical position is completely unaffected. So if the hope is at a different vertical position, both Goombas will end up halfway to the hope in the X and Z coordinates, but while the Goomba clone ends up at the hope's Y coordinate, the other Goomba remains at its original Y position. This glitch allowed for two major breakthroughs in cloning capabilities. It
Ooh,
was
team for
now
dig, that's not
possible,
bad.
albeit very restrictive and convoluted, to release a
If anyone
clone
can
at
learn
a
it.
location otherwise inaccessible without the situational
No one. Great.
hand glitch.
Love
Although
it when that
because Mario
happens.
needs to be close enough to the Goomba crew for them to be
Top 10
loaded
biggest
in the
lies
first
ever
place,
told.
There would be very few situations where transport cloning actually enabled new clone locations. The most valuable benefit was the ability to release the clone just far enough away from Mario that he doesn't immediately bump into it. PanandQuick figured that this new technique would prove useful in Bowser.
I do
in
like the
Sky.
lighthouse a lot more in
As
this
that
game
kind
than
of that stage was still sitting at
Gold
10
Silver.
A+. First, he found that luring a Goomba to the edge of his
Admittedly.
bridge barely allowed him to skip past that gap without using A. Next, he found a use for
Pounded by
transport
Draco
cloning. He released
Meteor.
a clone here while these two
Pounded by
Goombas were
Draco,
barely
Draco,
running into each
Draco.
other. This warped both Goombas halfway to Mario, with the clone partly in the ground because of Mario's lower position. Afterwards, he used the fact that Goomba clones do still have collisions with other Goombas. He guided a Goomba to push the clone all the way to the other side where Mario could bounce on it after getting the final red coin, saving an A-press. Panan was not done in this level. His next endeavor was to save the A-press needed to jump into the pipe to the Bowser fight. The main issue here was that to bring a Goomba clone all the way to the pipe, he would need to be able to get there while holding an object. The closest Bob-omb to clone with is all the way down there, and because holding an object severely hinders Mario's movement options, that meant Panan needed many more clones to cross small gaps that would otherwise be trivial. So while he only needed a single Goomba clone at the pipe, the many gaps along the way basically acted as one big deconstructed Goomba bridge of length 7. At 127 Goombas, that's way too much to make this a viable strategy. And that's before even considering the fact that without the hand-in-hand glitch and remote release, there was no way he could release all of these clones without interacting with them. It seemed impossible. Until he found something new. As it turns out, on any given frame, Mario can only interact with a single
Of
object
course you
at
have a
time.
Pokemon that quad
If
resists
Mario's
grass.
colliding with more than one Goomba at the same time, whichever comes first in the processing order is the one that is handled, and the other collisions will be ignored. And here's the key part. When a clone's interaction status is broken and it becomes intangible, Mario still technically interacts with it when they collide, even if nothing happens. The processing order of a group of clones
A
is the same as
Qualot
the
berry,
order
let's
they were
go. Best kind of berry.
generated. So
Tap.
if Mario releases a Goomba clone and bumps into it, he can then come back and release a new clone inside of the first clone's hitbox. Because Mario is touching the first
Brick
clone,
mail,
this
let's go.
interaction is
Best kind of
denied.
mail.
But because that clone is now in a broken state, nothing comes out of this interaction. Although he's also colliding with the second clone, this collision is ignored. so he can
Now, I'm not
directly
gonna
bounce on the part of the
try to
second
avoid
clone's
any
hitbox
trainers,
that doesn't
but
overlap with the first clone, and he has
I probably will
successfully
on
released a
skip a
usable
few on
clone
accident.
without remote release
But I'll try to
and
get every
transport
trainer I
cloning.
can.
There are two caveats. First, this method does require one clone to use as a sacrifice to place another clone. But once the blood tribute has been paid, older
I'm gonna go to the
broken
store and I'm gonna
clones
buy
that
one
can collaborate
potion. I just
will
want to
allow
test something
Mario
out
to
real
release
quick.
newer clones at no additional cost. Second, the interaction priority goes both ways. Mario can't bounce on a Goomba if he's busy interacting with another Goomba. He needs to release that second Goomba in such a way
crap.
that there's a portion of its
can't
hitbox
buy any
that's
heals.
sticking out of the first Goomba's hitbox.
That's
This tiny
annoying.
section becomes the second Goomba's effective hitbox. So this new find was great to place clones at arbitrary locations, but what about the problem of having to clone over 100 Goombas when the game can only render about 40 at once?
Yeah, I forgot the game does that.
That one was solved thanks to
I mean, it's.
transport
I think I already
cloning
healed.
and
I don't know why I'm
pushing.
healing. And
Goombas
it's
needed for the
fine.
fourth step of the bridge could be
It'll only
released
make
remotely and pushed into position by other Goombas.
the Elite Four
This got
and
the use
Champion a
of the
little bit
second and
tricky.
third steps of the bridge by half. Finally, the last step of the bridge was the Goomba next to the pipe, and it could be bounced on without having to go and rebuild the rest of the Goomba bridge again, cutting the total number of clones in half once more.
Going on over
This
there.
complex plan balanced convenience and minimizing the number of clones used. In total, 61 Goomba clones ended up being used for this A-Press save, plus 2 more.
Lose
for
my
the
mind,
final
man.
point.
All right. Well,
This stretch
we got
time
Surf
is
now.
very limit, and if
Do you want
run
to
into
HM?
crashes while tassing this stage,
HM
to minimize the
Pokemon
amount of
or
Goombas on screen
Cheech
at once,
one?
it was indeed
My only
possible.
water type is a physical attacker. I don't really want him to
Finally,
have
one last
Surf,
improvement
so.
was the hidden Bowser in the sky. But this time there was something different. It was not made by Pan and Koic, but by someone new. His name was Ganner D. Ganner D started watching Panen's videos even before the A-Button challenge, and he had grown fascinated by them. He messaged Pan and Koic through the YouTube inbox system, and after some back and forth, they started bouncing ideas for improving the A-Button challenge. One of those ideas Ganner D brought to the table was a very precise double jump kick to clear the first 2 platforms in a single A-press instead of 2. After a lot of testing helped by another guy by the name of WizDoodle, this A-press save was proven possible, bringing down Bowser in the sky from 10 A-presses down to 6 over the course of a few weeks. Around that same time, another A-press was saved, this time in Jolly Roger Bay. Through the jet stream had always been fairly straightforward, 1 A-press to break the metal cap box and 1 A-press to jump into the star with the metal cap. But Panen found that the first one could be skipped thanks to an old technique that I haven't discussed yet, pause buffering. When Mario dives with B, as soon as he hits the ground, he can do a dive recover either with B or A. If he's on a steep enough slope, he actually hits the ground on the very next frame after he dives. As soon as he does though, he very quickly loses forward momentum. So each frame spent sliding after a dive takes out a big chunk of speed. In normal circumstances, you could dive with B on one frame and press A to recover on the next, but that's not a particularly alluring strategy here. Because both the dive and the dive recover have to
Wow,
be
what a
in
great
between, there
TM.
has to be at least one frame where B is released between them, which causes Mario to lose part of his speed. But while the game is paused, the physics engine doesn't advance, yet controller inputs are still being read. So by pausing the game while B is released, Mario can dive on one frame, pause and release B, unpause and repress B, and recover on the next frame. This let him keep all of his forward speed, which was just enough to make it onto the metal cap box and save it.
Nah, that wasn't enough to save you, sucker.
In Hazy Maze Cave, for Metalhead Mario can move, Ganner D came up with another enemy lure, this time with the Scuttlebug to skip one of the gaps and save an A-press.
Did I fight you?
Meanwhile though, Pan
did
and
not.
Koic was working on something far more advanced. He theorized something quite insane. In TikTok Clock, what if you could skip the final A-press of time jumps on moving
Guess I go to
bars?
Gardevoir.
This would be incredibly challenging, because while there are bob-ombs at the very bottom of the stage, there's nothing useful to clone with them. The star is encased in a solid cage with no features around it that could be used— wait, what? You can simply dive recover into it? Oops, well I guess that one slipped through the crack somehow. The date is now May 2014. Panen's next target is Bowser in the
Fine, this is
Fire
a new encounter.
When getting
Here,
the red
forget to get.
points, Mario has to climb the
You'll
pole
think?
twice because this point forces him to fall back down. The
Right.
only way to get off the pole and onto the higher platform is to jump off of it. Or is it? In the first round trip, yes, definitely, there's no possible way around it. But after
Okay,
getting
I'm
it
not supposed to have
once, the
68
entire
Master
level
Balls.
is
I don't know
complete,
what's going
which
on there.
contains bob-ombs.
But,
Panen carried an unloaded bob-omb all the way back down here where he could clone one of the lower Goombas.
I'll just toss it, it's
Using
fine.
transport cloning, he was able to safely release a clone right next to the pole. So that would allow him to drop off from the pole using Z and bounce to the platform, right? If only it were that simple. When Mario drops off from a pole, he has barely any horizontal momentum. So little, in fact, that
okay, we
the
got
Goomba
nothing.
bounce
Nice.
isn't even enough to cross this minuscule distance. Using more clones didn't help either because he couldn't even place them low enough for it to
We're
work.
gonna name you
He had to resort to something
Hilda.
better, setting Mario on fire.
Okay.
Setting Mario actually has a very useful.
Alright, and the new encounter down
It
here.
makes him do a little hop forward. This is actually enough to reach the platform from the pole.
This is any
The only
good.
problem is finding a way to burn Mario at the top of the pole. Luckily, fire spitters are there to save the day. These fire bars are made up of 15 individual flames, each taking up one object slot. When the fire comes out, all of these flames are loaded, then unloaded as they stop burning. If Mario's holding a vacant object slot when the flames come out, he can end up holding a flame clone. To release it, however, PanandKoic couldn't use transport cloning because nothing
gotta
can
switch
take
this, gotta
fire, so he had to use
crap
the
ton of
old
accuracy
knockback
drop.
strategy by positioning a Goomba at the right spot. Finally, he also had to place more Goomba clones so that he could
Frick
bounce from
you.
the elevator to this spot so that the flame would be placed high enough for this strategy to work. After falling down to get the red coin, he dismounted the pole by getting burned, and he managed to get back up without an A press.
Dude, stop using
The only
endure.
press left in this
Thank
level
you.
was the one required to get off the pole the first time around. The next A press to be saved wasn't tied to any star in particular. It was the A press required to enter Cavern of the Metal Cap. This one was simple but quite precise to pull off. After getting Dory in the right spot, Mario can reach the platform with a run up and a dive recover. Coincidentally, the very next day, PanandKoic found another improvement, again in castle movement. This time, it was
No, wait, why did I say I had
pillars
master balls
for
earlier
the
and then now I
access
don't?
the
That's weird.
Vanish Cap course.
Anyway, just give me my
After
counter,
catching
please.
Panan carried it all the way to the pillars.
Thank you.
Here, he got off the pillar holding Mips.
Well,
but
Earth
ground pound.
binary.
This
I mean, pretty.
instantly
similar
releases
to-
Mips, which in turn pushes Mario back onto the pillar.
Ow. That
Once in return
hoit.
for the other pillar, and 2 more A presses had been saved. At the same time, Panan also
Alright,
found a way
well,
to get
confusion
secret
kill.
unaccounted books from 2 down to only
No.
1 A press. The A press to get to the second floor was still unavoidable, but the second
Alright,
one to jump
cool.
into the star wasn't. Here though, it wasn't as simple as a dive recover. Instead, he had to dive recover onto the railing, which has a tiny slippery slope on top of it. Immediately after sliding off, he clips back in and ground pounds, having just enough height to touch the star. But how did he manage to clip back in like that? Well, the answer is complicated. Not complicated enough to make a fascinating 2-hour documentary about, oh, of course it is. So we're gonna simplify things for the time being. The railing's cross-section looks like this. This is the inside wall, the outside wall, and the slippery slope on top. Now, while hitboxes have multiple interesting properties, they extend laterally by 50 units on each side of the wall. In the case of a thin railing like this one, the hitboxes can stick out of the other side like this. Also, wall hitboxes only extend vertically up to 30 units below the top of the wall. Because the inside wall extends higher than the outside one, this section of inside wall hitbox sticks out and ends up pushing Mario back in from the other side. This is the spot PanandKoic hit to make this A-press save work. At the time, he wasn't fully aware of all of these mechanics and simply referred to it as glitching to the other side of the railing. Another level.
Well, that was
saw
literally the most
improvement around this
useless
time
repel
was
I've ever
Rickroll
used in my
Red.
entire life.
The red coin star was already down to 2 A-presses, one for each of the 2 trips to the maze. An obvious way to improve that would be to cut it down to a single trip to the maze.
Alright, we're gonna
and
deposit
somehow
a
all
Pokemon 'cause we get a free
A-presses
shekel.
in one go. And that's what Panan did. He managed to do it by activating the elevator and taking it back up.
Going to
with his
pause,
precise dive recovery.
Aerodactyl, I guess
But
it doesn't
then
really
he
matter.
found something bigger. The carpet trip to the top of the maze was essential.
Actually, I need to get rid of a
The
Pokemon
A-press
so I can
needed
see
it
what
and
the
seemed
check
very
was,
close
obviously.
to being skippable. He figured that if he could have just one small bounce, he could have the height needed to grab the sledge without an A-press. And he solved it with the most advanced enemy luring strategy yet, the Lakitu lure. He led Lakitu far away while he was still low, then deactivated it until the last moment. Deactivation works differently than unloading does. When Mario
I
is
could've
still
swore it was this
far away,
house, I guess not.
Lakitu is no longer rendered and updated, but it remains at the
No,
same
no, no, no,
position
that's not
until
the
Mario
source, this is
gets
photography
near it
house.
again. Because Lakitu takes a while to rise up to Mario's height, Panan was able to get it to fly up into him just in time to get enough height to grab the ledge. As it turns out, the
Gimme.
Star, but it also
It is
has
a-
one of the 4 A-presses for Big House in the Sky, which also shares this carpet ride. And just like that, the total A-press count for all 120 stars was now under 100.
Poopy.
But there was
It
no
is a
time for
poopy.
celebration. There were more A-presses to save. In dire
Oh, that was a fun waste of time.
Red coin star went from 3.5 to 2.5 when Panon found that he could activate the boxes switch and drop from the pole clone onto a box instead of jumping off. This one was actually more precise than.
Alright, let's go and see what the Pokemon we caught its abilities are. So Miltank has Reckless. Why does everything have Reckless, bruh? Stench. I mean, honestly, that's pretty much all the Pokemon we caught.
Stars of Wet-Dry World. This was perhaps the most creative
Alright,
and
bring me Aerodactyl back.
looking strategy yet. Thanks to its 14-hour water level manipulation epic, the red coin star was already at 0 A-presses, but quick race through downtown still required 1 A-press to complete. That is until Panenkoek somehow
we can get a Cianwood City encounter here.
For so long that it would reach a value too large for the game to handle. The water level is stored as a 16.
As long as we're not running amok.
It can be a whole number from negative 32,000 to positive 32,000.
Shockingly little.
If it goes beyond 32,767, the water level literally overflows. So it wraps around
It's no longer disabled.
32,000, essentially making the downtown area go from completely filled with water to completely dry instantly. And now the genius part. Because the water level bobs up and down, if the median is right around the overflow, the water level.
Alright, let's go see what its ability is.
Between its maximum and minimum values, overflowing and underflowing every 2 seconds. Now that's a wet-dry world. The result looks very weird.
Because
swims for a bit, then starts falling.
Pure power?
Again, over and over. And this
I gotta be man. Is it worth it on Muck though?
Very much a secondary concern in this challenge.
Oh wow, Muck's actually a physical attacker? I thought Muck was a special attacker for some reason. Yeah.
After this string of improvements,
yeah, it is.
Panenkoek took a bit of a break until mid-June. In the meantime, though, he worked on a project.
Alright, we can run Pure Power,
beginning with this game.
Fuck,
video
we want it.
255 coin limit. Over the years, Panon had made dozens of videos about glitches and
who would we replace on my team
this
though?
one was special.
I don't really know if I want to
For the
replace
first
anyone on my
time, the
team.
whole world could hear his voice.
Hey guys, it's me, Panenkoek 2012, bringing you Dutch pancakes.
Completely honest, I kind of want to replace
This video
God of
didn't
War.
do anything new for the A-button challenge specifically, although it did show the lengths he was ready to go to just to get 1 extra coin in TikTok clock.
Yeah, you know what? Let's replace God of War on our team.
From this point on, glitch explanations and other science videos.
You may call me heartless,
because
but
A-button challenge videos were mostly
you know,
demonstrations of a strategy,
it's whatever.
he felt little incentive. To provide additional commentary other
Let's see if
than
you can
the
learn
video
Ding.
description and kept them in the same format as before.
No.
When Panon came back to the
See
A-button
if you can
challenge, he
learn.
found an
Actually, no, I
A-press
know it
to
can
go
learn
to
strength.
Bowser in the sky,
Well, let me make sure
always
Muck can normally get
required
strength because I don't want to use any
steps.
illegal HM moves.
After exiting either Rainbow Ride or Wing Mario over the Rainbow, it could be done in only one with a slight kick bounce and a
Okay,
double
that's
line
good.
double
It can't
jump
get strength.
kick
Okay,
on
good.
3 steps at once.
I'll make sure.
How does that skateboard trick sounding move work? If you've played this game before, you've probably encountered this situation.
Good disable.
This happens because ground movement and air movement are fundamentally different. On the ground, Mario's
Please tell me you can learn
always
Swords
moving in
Dance.
the direction that he's
That'd be
facing.
broken.
In the air, Mario's movement is defined by his speed and facing angle as well, but it is also influenced by the direction of the control stick. If Mario is facing slightly away from a ledge, but the control stick is held towards a platform,
I win.
he will move off of it while on the ground and back onto it once he's in the air. This results in Mario oscillating between being on and off the platform. It doesn't look like it here, but Mario is facing ever so slightly away from the platform. When he walks
See what
off,
moves it
he
gets to
enters a
level up.
freefall state.
We get
In
Sludge
freefall,
Bomb,
Mario can dive no matter his
Sludge
speed.
Wave.
He dives, but the joystick is held
Why do
towards
you only
the
get
step, so
special
on the very next
poison
frame,
moves?
he
You
moves
suck.
back onto the step. But now, because he's facing away, he
Wait, this
slides
is the
back
wrong
off
game.
platform and into freefall again. Each time Mario dives, it adds a flat 15 to his speed, up to a maximum of 48, which is 50% more than running speed. So with 4 consecutive dives, he gets his speed up to 4.
Alright, so all of its moves are gonna have to be like through
lands
TM.
When Mario lands
Unfortunately.
from freefall, he can immediately double jump. Because
I'm
the
not gonna
vertical
learn
speed
this.
of a jump is influenced by the horizontal speed, and because a double jump has a higher vertical speed than a single jump, a 48-speed double jump kick gives him just enough height and distance to make it all the way up the stairs in a single A-press. Next, Panenkoek looked at the 100 coin star in Hazy Maze Cave. It took 1 A-press to ground pound the switch for blue coins, but with clever swooper bounces, he could reach 100 different coins with only that 1 A-press. That is until he found a way to ground pound the switch without having to jump. How could he do that? Again, the answer was swoopers. However, using swoopers to ground pound the blue switch meant that he no longer could use them to reach the navigating the toxic maze alcove. Because of that, he missed out on too many coins to get 100 without an A press. But thankfully, he could still combine it with the red coin star.
Alright, let's heal. And then we got more trainers to fight, so let's go do those real quick.
Next up was Chip Off Whomp's block. If you remember, this star was left at 1 A press last time because PanandCook couldn't find a way to get Mario to the star without jumping. Well, if he couldn't bring Mario to the star, why not bring the star to Mario? That's right, he could do it via cloning. Now it's easy to say just clone the star, but it's actually not that simple. Up until this point, the only way Panan managed to clone a star was by carrying objects through loading zones, but Dire Dire Ducks and Wet Dry World are the only 2 levels in the game that have a loading zone. The issue is that without the loading zone, stars are always loaded no matter how far Mario is from them, so they can't load into an object slot that he's currently holding. But here, because the star appears after the fight with King Whomp, it could theoretically load into Mario's hands if he was holding the correct vacant object slot right at that moment. As far as holding a vacant object slot goes, Panan knew it was possible to get a hold of an unloaded cork box by bringing it all the way up to the top and having King Whomp break the box while grabbing it at the right time.
I mean, Floatzel would have been nice, but...
problem with keeping that unloaded box though. To end the fight, Mario needs to
too little, too late.
Whomp, which is incompatible with holding an object.
Wish you have wish.
It was time for new technology to step in. This strategy was actually months in the making. Back in 2013, PanandCook had discovered hands-free holding, a state in which Mario is no longer in the action of holding an object, but he still has a held object with him. It can be triggered by a few specific actions, like diving into a downward slope or bonking into a ceiling. This is a volatile state.
Oh, you frick!
Mario's trying to get rid of the object,
course!
so he has to be kept constantly busy to keep him from dropping it. This is usually done by jumping repeatedly, but that's not an option here. I'll leave figuring out why as an exercise for the viewer. Instead, Panan had to get creative. First, he triggers the hands-free holding glitch by bonking into the bottom of King Whomp, which at this moment acts as a ceiling. Then he punches repeatedly to avoid dropping the unloaded box until he's in the right position to ground pound King Whomp while holding a specific vacant slot which the star loads into. And this finally brought down Chip Off Whomp's block to 0 A presses. Around the same time, PanandCook also posted a video about trying to clone blue coins. While he tried very hard to make it happen, he just couldn't get it to work.
It doesn't really work. I just get stuck in some sort of limbo world.
This goes to show that even though so many breakthroughs were made in that era, a lot of the research still ended up in a dead end with nothing useful gained. Also, Panan started posting some low-effort videos for testing ideas and documenting strategies over on a secondary channel, aptly named PanandKeok 2012. I'm sure that's not gonna be confusing. July 2014. It had been a good 2 weeks since Whomp's Fortress, so it was time for more breakthroughs. The
Chime-cho. I love Chime-cho.
Platforms in TikTok Clock, which was done in 0 A presses before, was now found to be possible in 0 A presses. But this time, while holding an unloaded Bob-omb. PanandCook found that by entering the clock on the random setting and by manipulating the RNG, he was able to get all the way up these platforms safely while holding an unloaded object. This let him clone a Bob-omb up here. The old strategy for roll into the cage was a side flip wall kick from down here to get up in 2 A presses. But
I don't know why with Thundershock when Extra Sensory would have obviously done more damage, but whatever. Alright, let's heal and then I guess ready for the gym.
Holding, triggered here by being pushed off the platform while belly sliding and holding the Bob-omb, and a lot of ground pounding, which during its animation temporarily disables collision checks with floors and most of its checks against walls. This is usually fine when Mario isn't being pushed around during the ground pound. But here, it allows him to clip inside the cogs and pop up on top
31.
of the ground pound animation is over. This route involves some
I think we're gonna probably just get all of our Pokemon to level 30 just to play it safe.
Thanks to the Bob-omb having 4 different bloated sizes.
But first I have to beat the gym trainers.
If you wanted to position Mario, and larger if you wanted a stronger push to cross large gaps. This allowed him to get all the way to the star and save an A press, but he still needed one more to jump into the star itself. Or did he? 5 days after posting this video, it was already outdated. It turns out that the Bob-omb can still be useful even here. In its most bloated state, it displaces Mario by so much that it's possible to clip outside of the cage and with a ground pound onto this ramp. From there, he was able to clip back in but high enough to grab the star without jumping into it. But this new find was bigger than that. Reaching this ramp had only been done in 2 A presses before. Therefore, this new Bob-omb strategy saved an A press in 3 more TikTok Clock stars. The next new technical development was for Metalhead Mario Can Move. 3 months prior, a scuttlebug had been used to save an A-press and bring it down to 2. Well, it was time for that little bug to put in more work and take out the rest of the A-presses. The first step was
Yeah, we'll take on Truck and then we're gonna call it a stream.
Then Mario goes back out. As Mario leaves the room,
Fellas.
the scuttlebug is deactivated but not unloaded. Again, this means that it remains where it is, but it's no longer being updated or drawn. When Mario goes near it again, it will reappear in exactly the same spot.
Magnet bomb.
This will be useful later.
Yeah, we'll take it for coverage.
The main development that made this improvement possible was
Imagine running only physical moves on a
similar
Magneton,
to
bruh.
hyperspeed. When pressing C up while facing
Couldn't be me.
slightly downwards on a steep slope, Mario's trying to come to a stop, but the downward slope accelerates him straight ahead instead. Again, because the slope is so steep, his de facto speed is a small fraction of his real speed. Now when Mario enters water, he loses all of that speed. Except he actually doesn't. Horizontal speed in Super Mario 64 is handled in 2 different ways, the regular speed and the sliding speed. The regular speed is a single value that is applied to Mario's current facing angle to move him. It's used in most scenarios, running, jumping, falling, taking damage, and many more. The sliding speed is fundamentally different. It's a vector with an X and a Z component. The resulting direction isn't necessarily Mario's facing angle. As its name suggests, the sliding speed is used while Mario is sliding, no matter where or how. Even though only one type of speed is used at a time.
Alright, fight every trainer, let's go heal, and then we'll do the puzzle. Then we'll level up our Pokemon, and then...
The sliding speed vector
Yo, mama.
to reflect Mario's regular speed and angle, and when he is sliding, the regular speed is updated to reflect the amplitude of the sliding speed vector. But there are situations where the regular speed is updated while the sliding speed isn't. As it turns out, swimming is one of them. While Mario is moving down the slope, his sliding speed increases and his normal speed follows. When he falls in the water, his normal speed drops back to 0, but his sliding speed doesn't update to match it, so it stays high. Now he can go back on the slope and immediately start
Oh my
sliding,
gosh,
which
I
changes
literally
his
did
sliding
the slowest
speed.
possible way to
That's
do this
high
puzzle.
from the previous slide, and it goes even higher. Panon repeats this until the sliding speed goes all the
Her
way
father
up to
was a winch.
496. At this point, Mario has so much speed that he can bypass the entire wall hitbox without even colliding with it. That threshold is 400 speed in most
Alright, get all of our
cases.
Pokemon to 30. The level cap's 31, but I want to play safe. I don't want to accidentally overlevel.
Instantly start sliding out of the water, as well as to gain some precious height. And this is where the scuttlebug comes into play. As soon as it's reactivated, Mario goes butt sliding onto it with so much speed that one single bounce gets him all the way across to the star. And that is how Metalhead Mario Can Move was dropped to 0 A-presses. While all of this was happening, another level was being worked on, the Eternal Bowser in the Sky. It had been left at 6 A-presses back in April, but Panon had been slowly chipping away at it with incremental improvements for 6 weeks from late June to August 3rd. This is everything he accomplished.
Alrighty, what Pokemon are we gonna do? I think
was saved using
let's
Black
do
Magic.
good old reliable
What's
Hitmonlee.
going on here is actually not new. In his first run through the challenge, Panon had already abused this mechanic to save an A-press in a higher elevator, perhaps without even realizing it. But how does that work? Simply because this thing is stupid. Have you ever run into weird wonkiness on one of these elevators before? Have you ever bumped into nothingness or been squished out of nowhere? Here's why. The axle rotates around its center, but its hitbox is
Easy.
directly anchored at one of its tips and
G3E's G Chuck
That's
fight.
the reason behind all of this weird behavior, including both of these A-press
Alright, give me a good
saves.
TM, please.
The second A-press save came in the middle of the level. This red coin
Shadow
always
Sneak.
required an
That's not
A-press to
bad.
grab, but theoretically, Mario could also collect it by falling from above. Unfortunately, because getting off this pole also requires an
Ooh,
A-press,
Mutt
it
can
wasn't
learn.
any
Actually,
better
yeah,
to do so.
it's perfect for Mutt.
But Pat and Koic figured out that using Goomba clones
Don't forget
made it
minimize, it's
possible
too
to
risky of
dismount
a
the pole without
move.
using A. Because the cloning had to be done over here, which is past the pole, he did
Alrighty.
have to use A once to dismount. the
Gonna go ahead and
spot.
end the stream there.
Then he could clone Goombas
And then we'll
without
leave
the
off
pole
with,
and back up, using the Goomba clones to dismount the pole without using A again. After some testing, he quickly realized that
the start of the next stream, we're going to
Run
take
off the
on
pole,
Jasmine, I
his course of action
believe.
was to take damage instead. He managed to do it by manipulating another Goomba to push the clone under Mario to damage him while falling into position so
I'm
that
not certain,
Mario
but
could
I think we
bounce on
will.
it during the damage knockback. That worked, and so Bowser in the Sky.
Or I mean,
was
we could
then
also
slowly
wait to take on
clearing
Jasmine.
distance. He
We
had to
probably
start
will end
to
up
get this
waiting
red
to
coin
take on
and get
Jasmine.
off the pole the first time around.
But we're gonna go
But
ahead and
that
at
also
least do
wouldn't
the
last,
lighthouse
thanks
thing
to
real
a
quick.
brand new development in
Well,
Goomba
at the start of the
Elevator,
next stream, not right now.
Goomba Ladder. This is essentially like a Goomba bridge, except this time the bounces are mostly vertical.
All right, let me save. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and end the stream there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. We're gonna be continuing some Super Mario. Have a great day, everyone.